Crime is old, but the ways people handled criminals were often stranger than you might think. Ancient humans did not have police cars, court apps, or a neat little report a problem button. They had fear, rules, leaders, and whatever ideas seemed to keep the village alive. And when someone broke the rules, the answer could be mild, dramatic, or wildly creative. At the very beginning, many ancient communities were small. Everyone knew everyone. That meant crime was personal. If someone stole your goat, you did not just file paperwork. You knew where they lived. You knew their cousin. Probably knew their snack habits too. Punishment often started with the group. People might shame the criminal, demand an apology, or force them to return what was taken. A tiny village. Being embarrassed in front of everyone could hurt more than a fine. Humans have always been very sensitive about looking silly. Sometimes the punishment was practical. If a person caused harm, they might have to pay back the damage with food, animals, labor, or metal. This was common in early societies because life was fragile. Theft could ruin a family's winter. A fight could leave someone unable to work. So many groups focused on making things right, not just making someone suffer. In a way, it was less you are evil forever and more you broke it. Now fix it. That approach was not always kind, but it was useful. Societies grew larger, punishments got more formal. Ancient Mesopotamia, for example, had laws carved into stone. One famous set, the Code of Hammurabi, used very strict penalties. If you damaged someone, you might owe a matching injury. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Sounds intense because it was intense. The idea was to limit revenge. Instead of one angry family, starting a chain reaction of chaos. The law tried to set a fixed price for wrongdoing. Still, if you were the criminal, you probably hoped for a better day. It sounds intense because it was intense. The idea was to limit revenge. Ancient Egypt handled crime with more focus on order and social harmony. Pharaoh stood at the top, and breaking the law was almost like disturbing the balance of the world. Criminals might be fined, beaten, or forced into labor. Some were sent to work on large projects. That may sound like a legendary clean-your-room punishment, except the room was a temple, a quarry, or a royal construction site. In Egypt, punishment was not only about pain. It was about showing that the ruler's order could not be challenged without consequences. Ancient China also had strong laws, and punishment could be harsh. Some periods, criminals faced physical penalties, exile, or forced labor. Exile was especially serious. Imagine being told, you are banned from home. Pack your things. Enjoy the wilderness. It meant leaving family, land, and support behind. In societies where your community helped you survive, exile was a big deal. It could be worse than jail, because it cut you off from the people who kept you alive. Ancient humans understood something important. Belonging matters. Greeks and Romans had a more mixed system, depending on the time and place. Some cities used fines, public shame, or exile. Athens had a famous method called ostracism, where citizens could vote to send a powerful person away for a number of years. This was not always for ordinary criminals. It was more like, you are getting too popular, and that makes everyone nervous. In Rome, punishments could be brutal for serious crimes, especially for slaves and lower-status people. Roman law also grew more organized over time. They liked rules. They really liked rules. Across many ancient cultures, punishment often depended on status. A noble might pay a fine. A common person might be whipped. A slave might be punished even more severely. That is one of the ugly truths of the ancient world. Justice was not equal. Who you were mattered a lot. If your sandals were fancy enough, the law might suddenly become more flexible. If not, well, good luck. Ancient justice was often less about fairness in the modern sense, and more about protecting hierarchy, peace, and authority. Peace and authority. Ancient justice was often less about fairness in the modern sense, and more about protecting hierarchy, peace, and authority. Not every response to crime was harsh punishment, though. Some cultures used public humiliation. Others used community repair. A criminal might have to stand before the group and admit the harm. That sounds simple, but shame was powerful in small societies. Being known as a thief or liar could damage trust for years. In places where trade, marriage, and survival depended on reputation, that could be a very heavy penalty. Ancient humans knew that a label could stick like mud. And then there were the really serious crimes. Murder, treason, rebellion, or attacks on sacred places. These could lead to death. Executions were used not only to punish, but to warn everyone else. The message was loud and clear. Do not try this at home or anywhere else. Some societies made punishment public on purpose. It was theater. Grim theater, but theater. The crowd watched, remembered, and sometimes learned fear faster than wisdom. Still, the ancient world was not one giant torture machine. Many communities wanted peace, not endless revenge. They used restitution, exile, labor, shame, and sometimes mercy. A criminal might be forgiven if they made amends. A young offender might be treated differently from a dangerous one. Methods changed from place to place, but the basic question stayed the same. Do you keep people safe without tearing the community apart? So what did ancient humans do with criminals? Little bit of everything. They made them pay back what was lost. They shamed them. They beat them. They banished them. They put them to work. They sometimes killed them. Sometimes, when they were wise enough, They tried to repair the damage instead of only adding more pain. Ancient justice could be harsh, messy, and unfair. It also shows something very human. From the beginning, people were trying to figure out how to live together without the village turning into a weekly wrestling match with consequences.